What is up, everyone? Welcome to the April edition of the Portland Monthly Premodern Paper Magic Afternoons. This is round one of the April tournament, so without further ado, let's dive into what are honestly some pretty fun decks. First up, we have Tony on a very first for the channel, a Battle of Wits deck. This is a 250 card deck that revolves around the card Battle of Wits, which is a 5-mana enchantment that at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have more than 200 cards in your library, you win the game. This deck is fairly popular on Magic Online, but it doesn't see a lot of paper play because of the sheer ridiculousness of having to shuffle it and search it, because there are a fair amount of tutors in here. I'm not going to go through the full list here. I will actually post a link down below because, well, I don't expect anyone to actually be able to tell what all the cards are in this deck, but very cool to see, very fun to have it on camera. Let's see who he's playing against. David is returning with another version of his Oath Replenish list. I believe it's been a month or two since we've seen this list on camera. So for those of you not familiar with it, mostly the deck revolves around locking your opponent out with the Parallax Tides and Parallax Waves, and also using Replenish as a way to refill your board after a successful Oath of Druids. Other than that, it is basically just good stuff with plenty of things in the sideboard to help slow the game down in case of an aggro matchup. So yeah, should be a couple interesting games, so let's get going. Okay, if you couldn't tell based on deck size, we have Tony on the left and David on the right, and yeah, it is a bit of a process to cut Tony's deck. Looking at that thing wobble makes me a little nervous. Hopefully the table is stable. I don't want that thing spilling over, that's for sure. That would be a horrible way to end the game. Not even sure what the judge call would be for that, but both players deciding if they're keeping a 7 here. Now the ideal would be Tony just manages to rip Battle Wits in the first few turns, is able to power out by turn 5. I did mention there are tutors in the deck, but David, of course, has to know what Tony's up to. There's only one deck in the format that requires such a abundance of cards, so David might just be shuffling to one of those disenchant effects, or just had a bad hand overall. The Battle Wits deck does have an ample amount of tutors, depending on the list. Again, being in Esper gives you a lot of options, including Diabolic and all of the white enchantment tutors, as well as a few of the more irregular black tutors, but anything that helps slim your chances down of hitting the card you need to hit is going to be good, and the deck just eventually dissolves into good stuff. Basically 4 of everything you'd want to see. It has 4 wraths, 4 swords, all that good stuff. Alright, we got a peek at David's hand. He's got swords, and he does, it looks like, have the Seal of Cleansing. Tony gonna show his hand real quickly too. Thawing Glaciers, just another way to mana fix. That is an interesting one. Not a lot of play in pre-modern, but can be relevant, I guess. Alright, we're just gonna start out with the seal. I have the answer to whatever you're trying to do, and go. Tap land for Tony and go. I didn't see much in the way of draw spells in hand. Maybe he had an impulse.
I'm sure, yeah. Okay, I got 4 of those made.
Alright, we're getting a lot of land goes. David content to hold up interaction. Tony might be a little land flooded here. Deciding how he wants to play out his next land drop potentially, or maybe even just going for the draw spell. David does not have blue in hand. Alright, looks like we got a Flooded Strand. And we get to experience the first part of this deck, which is searching. There are fetch lands, there are tutors. How are we going to handle the shuffle? Oop. Now, I didn't ask Tony if he ended up double sleeving this deck. Funny enough, I actually was working with him on this deck a little bit and also just building my own version of it too, because it just is one of those things that if you have a lot of pre-modern decks, building this in paper and bringing it to a friendly is something you do every once in a while, just for the hell of it. But all right, looks like that's how we're gonna shuffle. Just shuffle up a bunch of it and cut it, and give David the opportunity to cut as well. Yeah, it's definitely not something you make your daily deck, for sure. Magic Online, obviously, quite a bit different, but it's definitely a fun one. All right, we got a Shadow Mage coming down. Could get some card draw going here. David does have a Swords, and this might be a good target for it. There aren't a lot of creature threats in Tony's deck, so it's going to gain 1. That is a card that I would love to see played more, Shadow Mage Infiltrator. I feel like there's got to be a good Dimir deck that isn't blue-black Stifle Knot out there. Or the Wet Potato Pit Rack list I've been playing with. That is barely blue. More like a damp potato. Alright. David's going to do some of his own tutoring here for an enchantment, grabbing a Sylvan Library. And as I believe I pointed out in the deck tech, the majority of his deck is foiled out. Having reprints from Dominaria Remastered definitely helps with that. I know some people aren't the biggest fan of new retro borders, but personally I like it. It's also a great way to just get good looking cards into the format for what was at the time a pretty expensive card. Having this reprint definitely helped with the accessibility for sure. Alright, so we're going to play out of Thawing Glaciers. Are you familiar with this card? So this used to be a lot better before they changed the rules, where you could actually activate it on your opponent's end step and then activate it on your turn as well, getting double the triggers from it. But when they changed the rules, I believe it was whenever something happens on your end step, or it was something with the time. I don't know exactly what it is, but basically it made Thawing Glaciers much worse. You could no longer get the double triggers from it. I think it was the same rule that affected Rocket Launcher as well. Comments can correct me if I'm wrong, which it could be, but I definitely know that something in the rules changed that affected how Thawing Glaciers functioned. So it's not as good as it once was, but it is still a solid card and just a good overall fetch land in a deck that desperately needs to mana fix. Okay, so David being aggressive with the Sylvan Library triggers here, and managed to pull his one of Terravore. Oh, Tony just catching that. He should have taken a point of damage for the fetch. Okay. So that Terravore is, I think, just a 3/3.
Tempest is when I started really getting into Magic. So like Tempest and Stronghold.
Those are the nostalgia inducing.
So no Oath triggers happen now. I don't even know if he has Oath in hand, but I don't think Tony has much in the way of creature threats in hand. Does he have a way to answer this Terravore though? Because that is going to be a clock. Oh, it looks like it's actually just a 2/2 currently, but David does have a Flooded Strand on board as well.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, Tony thinking about, oh, we're just going to
Two blue.
his turn. I guess I missed the draw. Sorry. I was talking about land counts and missing the draws. And that's a Spell Unite Temple. It was reprinted into Premodern.
Yes, it is. Enters battlefield. Tap.
And we're going to see another Sylvan Library trigger here. Just going to be taking 1 this time. And we're going to swing in for just 3. Is it actually 3?
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Yes, Tony has that multicolor land. All right, so we're going to double fetch here, bring it up to 5.
I'll take 6/6 now.
No reason not to.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, 5. Okay. All right.
Instead of a 5 or 6 turn clock, now it becomes a 4 turn clock. Or sorry, instead of a 7 turn clock, I guess it becomes a 4 turn clock. Much better. Tony does have a lot of answers to it though, but it is buried in a lot of deck, so hasn't done anything to it yet, which leads me to believe he doesn't have a response, but he's got to have some card draw or something. I think I even see a mana leak, maybe. There is another Shadow Mage Infiltrator that doesn't do much now, but it could potentially draw him into something.
Okay, second main, cast that.
Ooh, and then down comes the Parallax. Alright, what if we just get rid of all your lands? So this is the kind of the finisher of the deck. David's already got a big creature on board. Can easily take away all the lands that Tony has out. The real question is, can you... Alright, so he's going to target the Flying Glaciers, which counter should come off, yep. Alright, he does get to go grab a land. And I think Tony's just reading that does not actually come back to hand until end of turn. So it doesn't go back to his hand. I don't know if Tony's just put in there to be exiled. It should technically go under the Parallax, just to be clear. But I think he also knows what's going to happen here with that enchantment hate on board.
Okay, I'm gonna pass to your upkeep.
And
Untap. Upkeep.
oh, interesting. Okay.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold priority.
Oh, I think David's
So I'm going to
saying he still wants to do stuff. Yes.
Swamp.
Okay.
Holding priority, so it hasn't resolved yet. Didn't want it to fall off.
Yeah, no, good call.
I'll wait.
Alright, so
Or maybe not.
it's phased out.
Not yet.
Or,
They're not exiled yet.
Yeah. Unclear what's happening here.
This ability is on the stack.
Alright.
I'm gonna do the same with the island.
Okay. So hitting
Same with that island.
Okay.
And then the last counter.
all these lands. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do.
And then
Hit all the lands, then hit the Parallax Tide with the trigger on the stack for all those exile effects.
And so this dies if
And basically blows up all of Tony's lands.
So you've targeted all these.
Yes.
Priorities passed to me.
yes.
With I think Seal of Cleansings on top of it.
Is on
That Parallax should be in the graveyard as well.
They're all gonna go.
not yet. Not
Well, no, you targeted all 4 lands, right?
yes.
Okay. So I'm
Some discussion happening, I guess, when that
to add 2 blue floating.
happened.
Cast Impulse.
Okay.
Look at top 4 cards of your library.
Okay, so I guess this is happening in Tony's upkeep. And he is going to impulse for it.
Cards in hand.
0.
Okay. I'm gonna put Lindwall's Vault.
Okay. I don't.
Grabs a Latnom Legacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or, no, Limdul's Vault, that's what it is.
Oh, I don't have one. I'm gonna cast it anyways.
Latnam's is a blue card. Limdul's Vault.
Look at the top 4.
Gonna try and dig himself out of some answers here. Now this card has been explained to me before. I'm gonna try and recall it. But basically you look at top 5, reorder it however you want. If you don't like the order, you pay a life and go find a new 5. And you can do that as many times as you have life. And whenever, yeah, it just goes back to the bottom of the deck, which I'm sure he'll do at the very end. Okay, a couple mana leaks there, some lands. That was a Battle of Wits, I believe, which that's going to the bottom.
5.
I think maybe just looking for an answer for the Terravor.
No.
Not sure what he has in hand, but probably just digging for a sword, I'd have to imagine.
I am not. No. So I'm just gonna lay it out.
I could give you
or at least something to do with his one remaining blue mana before it goes away.
I have one very specific action in mind that I want to take right now.
This card is an interesting one for sure. I don't know if this is going to help. David's helping him with the life loss. Oop, don't want to put those there. Okay.
Oh, come on.
Oh, that is an innocent blood, I think, right? That would be... No? Okay. I'm not sure what Tony's actually taking for here.
Keep these. Back on top and
But whatever he found, we're keeping.
got it. These will go to the bottom.
Alright. And everything else just goes to the bottom. Okay, so now all the lands should disappear.
So that all this resolves.
Okay. This destroying my own Parallax is on the stack.
Yep.
Oh, he does have a Battle of Wits in hand.
Guys.
Yep. All of these exile.
Yes.
Okay.
For good.
Yep.
Okay. And then go ahead to draw stuff.
All right. Draw. Swamp for turn.
Yeah.
Tap the swamp. Innocent blood. Each player.
Alright, he did have an innocent blood. Okay. So that must have been what he saw off the top. Did have a way to deal with the Terravor,
Buys a lot of time.
but is in a very tough spot here. No threat on board. He does have a Battle of Wits, but he's gonna need to draw into 4 more lands, 2 of them blue. And hopefully he was able to stack the deck with Latinum. Oh, he does have a Thawing Glacier, so he can very slowly get there.
A little bit of time. Play a little slower.
That will take
Oh, and I'm sorry. This
many turns.
This came back.
But he does have a path forward.
Right. So if you exile from the game,
Yeah.
then it's
I'm not sure why the second one's coming on
It wouldn't.
board,
So that should be in play.
because I believe they're all exiled at the same time, technically.
Remember, I did it during my turn.
okay.
So this is in play, and it actually came back.
Player's just talking it through right now.
Return to its owner's.
The timing with Parallax can be a little tricky, especially if it's your first time experiencing it.
The previous object. When
The untap in the middle of it, though, was a little confusing. I think maybe
it's a new game object,
uh,
that trigger, it would try to resolve. Yeah, that's exactly why it becomes a new game object. So like, this was in play, and you did the ability, so that trigger would try to trigger at the end of turn, and it would look for this. But this was exiled, and then it came back the next turn. It was actually even gone when the trigger tried to resolve.
all right, just explain the process.
This came back.
Okay.
This came back.
Or did it actually happen on?
Yeah, this turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to hand or back? Oh, no, to hand.
No, to the field.
Oh,
Yeah, we might have to go back and rewatch that at some point, chat. But I think maybe what happened is
cool. That's
the Parallax tide was activated once
pass the turn.
Okay.
on David's turn, and then the remaining 4 times were activated on Tony's untap. So yes, in that instance, the Thawing Glaciers should return,
I'll play this.
and he is able to activate it. Oh, all right. There is an Oath of Druids. Not the best against this matchup for sure, and also one of David's threats, the Terravor, is currently in the graveyard, so he would just be able to find the Acroma.
Search for a creature.
But assuming he has Replenish in hand, that could be very good.
And we mill until we find it.
Yep.
Okay.
The real trick is,
On your
does Tony play out a creature? And I don't think he does. Alright, we are going to get a land here.
and then this will
I'm assuming an island. Shortcutting a little bit here. Technically, that Flying Glaciers goes back to hand at end of turn.
just tap.
And yep, does enter tapped. A little bit of quick shuffling.
This is a great one.
Yeah, no, that's a good little back and forth system right there.
I know it's not like a perfect shuffle, but
Yeah. And those two were somewhere.
oh yeah, they slip somewhere in there. All right, and then if you want to cut that,
Sure.
And the very precarious cut.
all right, perfect. Good. I know it's kind of janky.
A
But,
little janky, that's all good.
all right, untap,
Okay.
upkeep, draw. I don't have more creatures.
Ooh, that is a land draw. Alright, so we are in business here.
puts me on.
Assuming...
But
Oh, he's got a couple of lands, yeah.
um,
That Thawing Glaciers can go find another island. So if he plays out the tap land,
play a creature, you'll get Terravor on your.
and then he could play out the swamp, and
Let's go another Thawing Glacier.
next turn? Oh, okay, we're just gonna do Thawing Glaciers.
And then I'm just gonna pass the turn.
Maybe my math's wrong, but I think he could get to 5 next turn and play out the Battle of Wits.
I will just take 1
Okay.
and play a land.
Yep.
And pass.
And it looks like Dave is actually flooding a little bit here too.
Search.
The Sylvan Library not being relevant at the moment. Really needing a fetch land, I think, to help mix things up. Alright, second island. Now, if he had played what I believe was a secluded step in his hand last turn, he could play out the
If you want to cut.
That's okay.
swamp and then play out the Battle of Wits. Obviously, he would be running it into blue mana and a lot of open mana, so there is definitely the possibility of getting mana leaked or disenchanted or something like that. And depending if he has counterspells in hand that are not mana leak, that could be a consideration. Alright, we're just gonna go Thawing Glaciers again.
Lands.
He does have an Impulse and some Psychotogs, but correctly not playing them out. Ooh, David gonna take 4 to draw an extra card. Does get the fetch land and is able to shovel things up, dropping down to 5. And that would be a very tempting target if you do not know what David is on. But generally, you do not want to be triggering your opponent's Oath of Druids if you can help it. Tony's showing us he does have Psychotog, a bunch of lands actually, and a Shadow Maze Infiltrator, and that Battle of Wits. So he does not have counter magic up. So potentially missing a opportunity to win if he had cast last turn. Not sure what David has in hand right now, but we just saw, I think it was another Oath of Druids and hard casting a Chroma, which is definitely a threat.
That resolves. I'll take the 6. So that's 4, and then 2 down to.
Swinging in, dropping down to 3.
Okay, so
David correctly saying you can trigger a Oath of Druids if you want,
let's just get another.
but I don't know if Tony has an out, and unfortunately I think he might have missed his opportunity to win last turn, technically on his next turn upkeep, because he will be dead to that Acroma. I don't think he has any flyers in his deck. I think his only out is another Innocent Blood or a Swords.
We'll go untap.
So he does have some outs.
This is mill until I find.
Alright, and are we going to be triggering the Oath? Looks like we are.
Is it exile or mill?
Getting a little peek at what's actually in Tony's deck here. Ooh, a little bit of red. I forgot about that. Alright, we're going to keep going. Oh, there's the Academy Rector. Okay.
Alright, that's graveyard. Big graveyard. Alright, untap, upkeep, draw.
Alright, Academy Rector, and I don't think there's a kill spell, so I'm pretty sure this game is over. Tony might just want to cast the Battle of Wits just to say he cast it.
That's gonna be game.
Okay, crazy.
we're just gonna go to game number 2.
Weird. Good luck.
All right, here we are in game number 2. That was a bit closer than I think David may have realized, but now he's got the sideboard tech in, probably putting in every sort of enchantment removal and counterspell he's got. And has, I think, a pretty decent hand. I didn't see a disenchant effect per se, but definitely has a way to disrupt Tony's game plan with those Parallax Tides. Does have an Oath as well, which is going to be coming out here. Nope, Sylvan Library is actually going to be coming out. All right. And we're actually going to miscalc that. One of the mini counter spells in Tony's deck. Good job holding that up. Ooh, he does have a tutor for his Battle Wits, which could be worth firing off here. It does definitely signal that you have it, but not the worst, especially if your opponent's all tapped out. Alright, so we're gonna go for it here. Oh no, we're gonna lot nom. I believe this one is look at top 3. I always forget how this card works. It doesn't see a lot of play. I definitely have to read it again. One of the downsides, or I guess actually one of the upsides of the Premodern format is there are a lot of cards that see very fringe play. Okay, so put a card back, draw 2. Or draw on is that's what it is. Draw 2 on your next upkeep, I believe.
Sky Cloud Expanse. And pass the turn.
Alright, just gonna pass here.
Okay.
I took a pain earlier, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
David fetching. Now, if Tony does search here at the end step, which looks like he's going to, he will potentially have the 5 mana. I think he has another land in hand, so he could power out that Battle of Wits. Turn 5. And I'm not sure if David has the interaction in hand to deal with it. Alright. Tapping 4, what's coming down? Oh, that's right, the time. Yes, that is a 4-drop. I always forget that. It's not a 5-drop.
Tap for a blue. Cast Opt.
Alright, we're gonna opt here.
I'm gonna put that on the bottom.
Second to bottom's all good, yeah. Wherever.
Squeeze that in the bottom.
Get there anytime soon. And then draw a card.
Draw a card for turn. Is that a second tutor? I think it might be.
Results.
Okay, I'm just gonna exile your island.
Alright, David thinking about if he wants to hit any lands here.
Sky Cloud Expanse. Yeah. They'll come back when they.
And do you let any of those...
Alright. So
I feel like you have to tutor here, right?
I have no response.
Opponent's tapped out. You're gonna lose your white source.
Okay. Untap. Upkeep.
Yep.
Draw.
No, it's actually just gonna pass. Okay.
Plains for turn.
He does have the enchantment tutor in hand, right? No, it was a disenchant.
So.
Or seal of cleansing.
Alright. So let's see. If
Or is that an addition? It's a little tough to tell what's in his hand. I could have sworn he did have the tutor.
I think that's the. And they come back untapped or tapped.
Okay, so explaining how this works again. If Tony does try to target it,
Let's do that. I'm gonna go and crack this now. And
yes, he's gonna...
untapped, tapped, untapped.
With that on the stack, you could get rid of those 2 lands, right? And those lands should come into play
Yeah.
untapped.
Pass the turn.
Pretty sure. Unless it says otherwise, like the... yeah, I feel like those should have come into play untapped. Chat, let me know if that's correct.
I'll hit your
I'm
island.
pretty sure. Alright, we're gonna hit one. And two. Grab a couple more. One more for good luck.
Nothing else. Untap.
And untap.
Alright, let's try this.
So yeah, what I thought was the tutor must have been the Seal of Cleansing. Okay, we're gonna blow that up again. And again, I think that is a disenchant. I believe that David can still hit those other two lands in response to the disenchant.
And then I will pass the turn.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. I'm misremembering how that trigger works. He can do it to his own, he can't do it in response.
Okay, I'm gonna try again.
Oh my god, a third one. Oof, this is just not going Tony's way. Definitely slowing him down.
Hey, maybe I should have hit your
David does not have the seal, it looks like.
No, you drew the white on the top.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely attacking. I was I had to set it for
Yeah, I'll hit your 2 white sources.
But yes, so just to talk through that again.
Float a white blue.
If it's your own disenchant effect, you can
Yeah.
Okay.
respond to the targets of removal by then destroying
And then all you.
your own Parallax. But if an opponent is targeting it, it doesn't work that way. However, I am pretty sure that those lands do enter play untapped. In comment section, let me know if I'm wrong, but I am pretty sure they do. Alright, so we got a fetch here. Grabbing an island. The only instance of where it might not be entering untapped is the Baron Moor, because it says it enters tapped. That one I'm not 100% sure on. That one might enter tapped, but the others, the basic lands and everything, should be untapped. Okay, so working with 3 lands here for the time being.
Yep.
We're gonna opt. Another land, it looks like. Totally definitely keeping a good hand to combat the Parallax tides, but
Have to keep this. So I'm gonna put back on top.
yeah, having 3 of them does make it a little difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, decided to take the opt.
I fished for it on last turn.
The card on top.
Coastal Tower comes into play tap.
Play out a tap land
And then pass the turn.
and pass. And that opt should go in the graveyard at some point.
Man, oh man.
I'm sure they'll catch it. Alright, so, ooh. David does have,
Cast that.
yes, the unfortunate combo of Opalescence. So this animates
So global is
the tide, letting it,
I'll swing for 4.
oh sorry, that's with wave, never mind.
Okay, you got a swords or something.
I'm mixing up tide and wave. So can't do the combo quite yet, but he does have a 4/4 on the board that will die not next turn, but the turn after.
tap for white swords.
Ooh, but does have the swords. That does mean he does get his lands back.
These all come back. Alright.
Those again should be, yes, untapped. Good. Okay, this time we caught it.
Let's go City of Brass.
Tony this time with the replenish, but not going to be relevant right now.
Pass it.
Oof. And David does hit a Seal of Cleansing.
Keep draw.
Which I guess doesn't matter too much with that replenish up.
2 blue.
in Tony's hand, but we're gonna impulse. That swords might be the play, honestly. Yep, looks like that's what it's gonna be. Swordsing the disenchant. Might as well do it now while he's mostly tapped out. Nope, just gonna pass the turn. Okay.
I'll swing for 2.
Swing for 2.
White, swords.
I'm gonna target itself and sack.
Okay.
Alright. That is supposed to be exiled.
I'm gonna play Wasteland.
We'll see if it's relevant.
I'll hit
Alright, Wasteland coming down. Hit some mana fixing.
Wasteland, yeah. You're good. You're good.
What are you targeting?
What did I target? I'm gonna hit that one.
Stack clock?
Yeah.
Okay.
At this point, not doing too much.
Alright. Untap. Upkeep. Draw.
Ooh, Tony just drew a Shadow Mage Infiltrator and might take the bait,
Black.
Yeah, I've actually never done that.
playing out a creature.
Black and 1.
Usually the Oath player doesn't play Oath unless he's going to be getting a trigger off of it. Unless he's just trying to slow the game down. But yes, Shadow Mage Infiltrator coming out. And Tony will get one free swing with it before that Oath triggers. And a even bigger threat comes down. Ooh, 2 Oaths in hand. And a Necroma. So he already has one of his Oath targets.
And pass to you.
Untap.
Could take a point.
Is each player.
Yep.
Is it so? Does this mean you get to search for the creature, or is it
Yep.
only on your?
Oath does not trigger for you yet.
On so like your upkeep, you would get to mill. My upkeep, I would get to mill. Yeah.
Copy. All right.
Alright.
Untap. Upkeep.
What did...
Let's go to combat.
Yeah.
Swing for 1.
Yep.
Oh, might as well, yeah, swing in. Draw a card.
Yeah.
There's a tutor target. Or there's a tutor, I should say.
Tutor.
Okay.
Gonna tutor now.
Search for a
Makes sense.
Wits.
Yep.
Might as well go for it. And let's see how long it takes to find a Battle of
This
Wits.
is a May. You don't have to do it. Just
Okay.
so you know.
Because this is gonna be the clock for sure. Won't be able to draw it till next turn.
Somehow when I shuffle, I got my cards all mixed up. So
Oh,
Alright, there we go. Battle of Wits.
they're upside down, right side up, whatever you want to call it.
Are we actually gonna see it played in this round 1? That is gonna be the question. Alright, some quick shuffling. David opting to not cut the deck this time. The deck pretty much randomized, I think, at this point. And one more land for turn and pass.
Draw step. I got a good draw.
So now that's a 2/2 also.
Ooh, that is another seal. That is a very good draw. That is a very, very good draw for David. And unfortunately not having a good answer to it. Oh, and yeah, the Oath counts as a creature right now. So, that is something interesting. I didn't realize. The Oath does not trigger. And Tony cannot play his Battle of Wits right now that he's going to draw, so his draw is dead unless he has a removal spell. He does have the Replenish, so he can try and bait it out, which honestly might be the call here. Yeah, do you want to activate your Oath? No, that is a May. Nice try.
If you want it, it's
a May.
I reminded you, yeah, it's a May. If
Okay.
you want it.
I do not want it.
Yeah.
I
Yep,
will
not doing the Oath trigger. Nice try.
It's
All
going to
right.
be a creature type. It's only a
Draw the
creature.
Battle of
Creature is
Wits.
only a creature when they enter the battlefield.
Yeah.
Under this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. I do not want to be able to find a creature.
For sure.
And do we just play the Battle of Wits here? I feel like you have to.
And 2 blue.
And 3
Making sure he leaves Replenish mana open.
Actually, mountain for turn first. We're going to tap 2
Mountain in
blues,
hand. Oh, that's right. He does have a bit of a red splash. It's not a full Esper.
and
I was misremembering the wrong list when I did the deck tech. There is a little red.
Battle of the Wits.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Or Battle of Wits.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to go to combat.
And there is the Battle of
And
Wits.
that's a 2/2. Sun artifact creature. I'm going to go ahead and attack.
Yep.
Swing for 1.
So take the 1 and I'll draw off the
If
trigger.
you were going to swing, I might have swung first.
And then I will
But
pass the turn.
Okay. 2 and a half.
we'll see when David wants to crack this. I imagine he's going to do it
Um,
at end of turn.
okay.
Ooh, I think he drew a...
You have 2 creatures.
Oh yeah, I guess that's a 5/5,
It's a
isn't it?
5/5
All right.
creature,
Yeah, I think he drew Limdol's Vault again,
yeah. Just 2 and 5.
which he could cast if he wants in David's end step.
Okay. I'm gonna play land.
Okay.
And
Alright, do you play out the second
grab
oath?
4 and
Or do you just go get your Acroma on the field and start swinging in?
Okay.
those are good.
Those are good.
Crazy. Weird. I don't know.
Well, he's got a seal of cleansing, so.
Yeah.
There is definitely something to be said for not letting Tony trigger the oath.
Hard cast Acroma.
But no, we're just going to go full send with Acroma,
Yep.
and that is going to be a problem.
I'll kill that. Try it.
Alright, take care of that right now.
Result.
Swing for 8.
And swing in.
Damage from last time when I attacked.
I went from 15 to 3,
Okay.
or 13, so yes.
Okay, so 8.
So, with Tony having the Replenish in hand, I think you do go for the oath here.
Alright.
Best case, you hit another Battle of Wits, maybe even 2.
I will mill.
So that stays in play.
Oh, not sure why the,
Room for sure.
oh, he's just making room, I see, to trigger. Okay.
That would have been. Oh, shit.
Good job.
Come on.
We're looking for more enchantments. I don't know if he has much more than the Battle of Wits. Ooh, Engineer Plague's not bad. There's a creature. Okay.
Alright. These are all milled.
Engineer Plague naming Angel at least
Upkeep.
Yeah, that was upkeep.
slows it down slightly.
2 games in a row, hard cast. Weird.
Alright, I've got 2 things to do here. We're gonna go black and
Which might give him enough time. He definitely can't swing in here,
black and red.
I don't think.
Red. Black and blue. Black and blue. Limb to walls.
Okay.
Oh, and is gonna Limdol's Vault.
5 dig.
Just looking to get a little bit of extra value, I guess. Maybe this should have happened before the oath trigger. I believe
That's.
it's an instant.
I kind of want to just take it because I don't want to lose too much.
Fair enough.
My apologies to everybody trying to watch and wait for us.
Let's see what there. Oh, no. People are still playing.
We'll take the 1. We'll do another 5. Put me to 4.
Alright, gonna take a point. This is very interesting. I'm not sure what Tony's exactly digging for right now. Innocent Blood doesn't get him there. He would need swords. Is he looking for some sideboard tech, potentially?
I think that's what we're going to do. Alright, we're going to keep. Gonna shuffle.
You just shuffle the 5 that you're not using, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he does have a cursed scroll in that 5.
Put him in any order.
Or not a cursed scroll, the blue tutor. Alright.
What it says. After you
Reading Limdol's Vault here, which is a wall of text.
I look at the top 5, then shuffle your library and put the last cards you looked at on any.
And maybe go into the Scryfall. for the Oracle.
These are the 5 I'll keep. Oh shit, that's not gonna do me any good.
That's so weird. I'm just gonna look at the.
I think I have to keep going. So we'll take another one. Oh shit.
All right, either way, still not
I'm gonna keep going.
taking it. This is very risky.
Did the first one?
But I guess if you are just dead to
It did, but
the
it
Achroma,
didn't really.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's keep this. Go like this. We're gonna put these 5 on top. We'll shuffle these guys somewhere in the mix.
does he go into 2? No, we are shuffling.
I got it now. It's
Okay.
not a perfect answer, but we're gonna try it. And then these 5 go on top, just like that. Boom, 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 boom. Back
So yeah, even getting the Engineered Plague out when he was at 5 would not have been enough.
swinging for 1. 1 gets in.
Okay, we're gonna swing, draw,
We're gonna go white.
Only the top.
Sphere of Safety. Interesting.
Yes. Top 5.
No, I know, but now that you're
Yeah.
talking.
Is that enough?
That didn't have a draw trigger after it.
No.
No, just shuffle. So
Oh,
top 4.
did you do that during your main phase?
Yes, I did.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
That's
one
fair.
there. Got the card draw. We're gonna go white and red and
Or is that Sphere of Safety? I think it might be. Which I don't know if that'll be enough.
white, red, and blue. Okay. Solitary confinement.
Or, no, that's not Sphere of Safety, that's the other one.
4, and I'll take 1 from the city.
Where you can't take damage or be the target.
Replenish.
And here comes a Replenish too.
Okay. Results.
1 card in hand, so we can at least hold on to it until his next end step.
That's the turn.
And yep, you might as well get the Engineered Plague out, naming Angel.
Angel.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you would name for the,
Enchantment.
would you name enchantments, I guess? Alright, Battle of Wits,
Enchantment.
Seal Cleansing.
Okay. And that's
Seal Cleansing should 100% be targeting the Oath, so David does not get another Oath trigger off of what is a bunch of enchantment creatures on Tony's side.
climate. Yeah, yeah.
What trigger?
Alright, we are going to get an Oath trigger here. That's 1 Replenish down. Basically just looking for the Terror.
Like there was like that one turn where I was just like, I'm gonna play the Opal Lessons. If you have Sickening Dreams, you wipe my board and then just like.
Ooh. That could be relevant. Little flashback enchantment removal. Alright, there's the Terror. That actually does seal the deal there. Unfortunately, the sphere is going to die to that flashback. Is it Rule of Law? I can't remember exactly. Alright, we're getting a land count here. It's not going to matter. Chroma is going to be able to swing in this turn as soon as he flashes back.
Okay. So 16.
16.
Which is unfortunate. Tony looking like he might have had it in the bag. We did get to see Battle of Wits at least hit the field. And yeah, that Terror is massive, but it's not going to matter. We're going to move to draw step. Flashback, hit the sphere. It does not give hexproof to itself.
Hand tapped out.
Okay, I am.
Unfortunately, you need other cards in the Enchantress deck to do that.
All combat damage.
Am I missing something? Where is it? I milled over Ray of Revelation.
Alright, yep, that is gonna do it, I think.
I shouldn't just
I don't think Tony has an answer. He doesn't have any mana, so even if he did,
tapped out. Yep. Kill that.
that'll hit his last chance.
Vigilance.
And I think that's game. Tony just making sure. Coming to grips, and that is a handshake, and that is game number 2. Match going to David. Real quick, it's solitary confinement, not sphere of whatever. I couldn't find it when I was doing commentary, so quick correction there. Unfortunately, not good enough to stop the onslaught from David, but good job, Tony. You at least got to get Battle Wits out and held up the threat of winning the next turn. Maybe next time that'll work out. It'd be amazing to see that on camera for sure. Thank you for bringing that deck in the first place. Definitely not an easy thing to put together, and congrats again to David taking it down. All right, guys, this is just round 1 of the April tournament, so if you like what you saw, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more. There's also old school content still coming out. I believe we have another 3, maybe 4 rounds of old school that will be coming out on the channel in the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for that. And if you've liked, subscribed, and done everything else that you possibly could do to share the channel with people you know would love pre-modern and old school content, and you want to do more, there is a Patreon link in the video description. Treating it mostly as a tip jar at the moment. Eventually we'll get to adding features and benefits and that kind of stuff, but it all goes towards the channel, gear upgrades, travel expenses, that sort of thing. Well, without further ado, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.